My wife cut my daughter's long hair while she slept. She was too vain. She needed a lesson in humility. She smirked. I replied, "Here is your lesson." Then I called the police and filed charges for assault on a minor. Her smile faded when the cuffs clicked. I'm 35, widowed, father of Emma, who's 12. Emma's mother died in a car accident when she was 4. It was just me and Emma for 6 years until I met Rachel, 31F, 2 years ago. Emma was 10 when Rachel came into our lives. Emma is everything to me. She's smart, funny, creative, and yes, she's proud of her appearance. She's got this gorgeous long blonde hair that reaches almost to her waist. She takes care of it herself, washes it, conditions it, brushes it every night. It's been growing since her mom died, and she says it makes her feel close to her mother's memory. Now, before anyone jumps on me about ignoring red flags, let me explain something. Rachel didn't show her true colors until after we got married 6 months ago. She was sweet to Emma in the beginning. Took her shopping, bought her clothes, complimented her hair. Emma actually liked her at first. The change started about 2 months after the wedding. Small things at first. Rachel would make comments about Emma spending too much time on her appearance, said she was becoming vain and shallow. I shut that down immediately, told Rachel that Emma taking care of herself wasn't vanity. Then Rachel started with the rules. Emma couldn't look in mirrors for more than 2 minutes. No selfies with friends, no trying on clothes unless she was actually getting dressed. Rachel called it building character and preventing narcissism. I had multiple conversations with Rachel about backing off. Told her Emma was a normal preteen girl and there was nothing wrong with caring about how she looked. Rachel would agree during our talks, then go right back to policing Emma's behavior when I wasn't around. 3 weeks ago, it escalated. Rachel threw away Emma's hair accessories, just dumped them all in the garbage while Emma was at school. When Emma came home crying about her missing headbands and clips, Rachel said she was teaching her not to be so focused on external beauty. I was furious. Made Rachel drive to Target that night to replace everything she'd thrown away. Had a serious talk with her about overstepping boundaries with my daughter. Rachel apologized, said she was trying to help Emma develop inner beauty, and got carried away. I thought we'd worked it out. I was wrong. Last weekend, I had to go out of town for a work conference. 3 days in Chicago for annual training. I asked my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, to check on them, and offered to pay Rachel's sister to come stay, but Rachel said they'd be fine alone. Emma called me Saturday night, excited about her day. She'd deep conditioned her hair and done some kind of braid crown thing she'd learned on YouTube. She was happy and normal, and I went to sleep thinking everything was okay. Sunday morning, my phone exploded at 6 a.m. Emma was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Something about her hair being gone, and Rachel standing over her with scissors. I told her to lock herself in the bathroom and wait for me. I threw my stuff in the car and drove 4 hours straight home, breaking probably 6 traffic laws. What I found when I got there will haunt me forever. Emma's beautiful long hair was gone. Cut off in jagged, uneven chunks while she slept. Some pieces barely an inch long, others hanging in weird angles. It looked like someone had attacked her with gardening shears. Emma was in her room crying. She hadn't come out all morning. When I found her, she looked up at me with these huge, devastated eyes and whispered, "Daddy, she cut off Mommy's hair." That broke my heart into pieces. Emma's hair wasn't just hair to her. It was her connection to her mother. It was part of her identity. And Rachel had butchered it while she slept like some kind of psychopath. I held Emma while she cried and promised her we'd fix this somehow. Then I went to find Rachel. She was in the kitchen making breakfast like nothing had happened, humming to herself while she scrambled eggs. When she saw me, she smiled and said, "Oh good, you're home early. I gave Emma a haircut last night." I stared at her. "You gave her a haircut?" While she was sleeping. She was getting too attached to her appearance. All that time spent brushing and styling it was making her vain. She needed a lesson in humility. The way she said it so casually, like she'd done something helpful, made my blood run cold. "You cut off my daughter's hair without permission while she was unconscious. I'm her stepmother now. I have a right to make parenting decisions. You have 0 rights when it comes to Emma. You're not her parent, and you never will be." That's when her mask slipped completely. She got this nasty look on her face and said, "That little princess has been spoiled her whole life. Someone needs to teach her that beauty fades and she better develop some substance before she ends up a shallow, useless woman like her mother." I saw red. Actually saw red like in cartoons. Rachel had just called my dead wife useless in front of me after assaulting my daughter. For a second I thought I might actually hit her. Instead, I took a deep breath and said, "Here is your lesson." I walked away before I did something I'd regret. Called Emma's pediatrician first to document the haircutting incident. Dr. Martinez said what Rachel did absolutely qualified as assault on a minor and urged me to contact police. Next call was to my divorce lawyer. Left a voicemail explaining the situation and asking for emergency protection order documentation. Then I called the non-emergency police line. Officer Williams arrived within an hour. Professional older guy who took one look at Emma's destroyed hair and got visibly angry. He photographed Emma's head from multiple angles and interviewed her about what happened. Emma told him she woke up feeling cold air on her neck, reached up to touch her hair and felt nothing but stubble in some places. Saw Rachel standing by her bed holding scissors and chunks of blonde hair. Rachel tried to play it off when Officer Williams questioned her. Said she was just giving Emma a trim and it got out of hand. But Emma's hair told a different story. You don't accidentally cut someone's waist-length hair down to scalp level in multiple places. Officer Williams explained that cutting someone's hair without consent is assault under state law. Since Emma is a minor and Rachel isn't her biological parent, it was also child abuse. He placed Rachel under arrest. Rachel's face when the handcuffs clicked shut was priceless. She went from smug and confident to panicked and desperate in about 2 seconds. Started screaming that this was insane and I was overreacting and it was just hair. "It's just hair that you cut off a sleeping child without permission," Officer Williams said as he read her rights. "That's called assault, ma'am." Rachel spent Sunday night in jail, made bail Monday morning, and I immediately filed for a restraining order, which was granted Tuesday after an emergency hearing. She's been calling non-stop from her sister's phone begging me to drop the charges. Not happening. I've spoken to the district attorney's office. They're pursuing assault charges and child endangerment. Rachel could face jail time and will definitely have this on her record. The divorce papers were filed that week. My lawyer says the assault charges make any future contact issues a non-issue. Rachel will never be around Emma again. Emma's doing better, but she was devastated about her hair for weeks. After some therapy sessions, we went to a high-end salon where a stylist named Michelle worked magic. She evened out the hack job Rachel did and gave Emma a cute pixie cut that actually looks amazing. Emma cried when she saw herself in the mirror. Not sad tears, but angry ones. She said she liked how she looked, but she didn't choose this, and that's what hurt. Some woman she trusted snuck into her room at night and took away something precious while she was helpless. That's when I knew Rachel hadn't just cut Emma's hair. She'd violated her sense of safety in her own home, made her afraid to sleep, destroyed something Emma associated with her mother's memory. The psychological damage is going to take time to heal. We start therapy next week, both individual sessions for Emma and joint ones for us. Dr. Martinez recommended a therapist who specializes in children who've experienced trauma. Rachel's family has been blowing up my phone. Her mother called me a vindictive monster for having her daughter arrested over a haircut. Her sister said I'm ruining Rachel's life over nothing and Emma's hair will grow back. They're missing the point completely. This isn't about hair. It's about a grown woman sneaking into a child's room in the middle of the night with scissors and attacking her while she slept. It's about violating trust and safety and destroying something meaningful out of pure spite. Rachel showed me exactly who she is when she thought I wasn't watching. Someone who resents my daughter and wants to hurt her. Someone who thinks she has the right to physically alter a child's body without consent. Someone who called my dead wife useless after traumatizing my kid. The worst part is Emma keeps apologizing. She thinks this is somehow her fault for caring about her hair too much. I keep telling her that taking pride in your appearance isn't wrong, and what Rachel did was 100% about Rachel's issues, not Emma's behavior. Last night, Emma asked if Rachel was coming back. When I told her no, she started crying again, but this time from relief. She said she'd been scared to sleep because she didn't know what Rachel might do next. That's when I realized how bad this could have gotten. If I hadn't come home when I did, what would Rachel's next lesson have been? Would she have cut Emma's nails too short, thrown away more of her belongings, done something even worse? The charges are moving forward. Rachel's lawyer has been trying to negotiate, but the DA isn't interested in plea deals. They want to send a message that adults who assault children face consequences even if they're married to the child's parent. When Emma finally went back to school after a week of recovery, her friends were shocked about her hair but supportive. A few teachers pulled me aside to say they thought the pixie cut looked great, and Emma seemed more confident somehow. Like surviving, this made her stronger. I'm proud of how Emma's handling this, but I'm also furious that she had to go through it at all. She's 12 years old. She should be worried about math tests and friend drama, not whether the adults in her life are going to attack her while she sleeps. Rachel sent me a letter yesterday through her lawyer. 3 pages of how sorry she is and how she never meant to hurt Emma. How she was just trying to help Emma develop character and things got out of hand. How she loves Emma like her own daughter. Bullshit. You don't love someone and then destroy something precious to them while they're unconscious. You don't call their dead mother useless. You don't violate their safety and trust, then claim it was for their own good. The trial date is set for next month. I'll be there with Emma to make sure Rachel faces consequences for what she did. My daughter deserves justice, and I'm gonna make sure she gets it. Emma's hair is already starting to grow back. She measures it every morning and gets excited about each tiny bit of progress. She's planning to donate it to children with cancer when it gets long enough, which tells you everything about her character. Rachel tried to teach Emma about humility and inner beauty by assaulting her in her sleep. What she actually taught her is that some people are cruel and dangerous, and you can't trust everyone who claims to care about you. But Emma's learning other lessons too, that she has a father who will protect her, no matter what, that there are consequences when adults hurt children, that her voice matters and people will listen when she speaks up about being wronged. Those are lessons worth learning even if the cost was too high. Update: the preliminary hearing was yesterday. Rachel pled not guilty, which means we're going to trial. Her lawyer tried to argue that as Emma's stepmother, she had the right to make grooming decisions, but the judge wasn't buying it. The judge pointed out that cutting someone's hair while they sleep without consent is assault, regardless of relationship. She also noted that Rachel's comments about Emma being vain and needing humility showed this was punitive, not parental. Bail was revoked after Rachel violated the restraining order by driving past Emma's school multiple times over several days. After a hearing, she was back in jail until trial. Emma testified via closed-circuit video to protect her privacy. She was brave and clear about what happened. When Rachel's lawyer suggested she might have consented to a trim that got out of hand, Emma looked right into the camera and said, "I was asleep when she cut my hair. How could I consent to anything?" The courtroom was silent after that. Even Rachel's lawyer looked uncomfortable. Trial starts in 2 weeks. The DA is confident about conviction based on the physical evidence and Emma's testimony. Rachel's facing 2 years plus probation and mandatory anger management. Emma asked if she could write a victim impact statement. She wants to tell the court how it felt to wake up and find pieces of her connection to her mother on her pillow. How she's afraid to sleep sometimes because she doesn't feel safe. "I'm so proud of my daughter's strength. She's been through hell, but she's not broken. She's fierce and angry and determined to make sure this doesn't happen to other kids. That's my girl." Her mother would be proud too. Final update: Rachel was convicted on both assault and child endangerment charges. Sentenced to 18 months in prison plus 3 years probation. She's also required to complete anger management and parenting classes before she can have any contact with minors. The judge said Rachel's actions showed a disturbing lack of empathy and judgment. That sneaking into a child's bedroom to cut their hair while they sleep demonstrated predatory behavior that required serious consequences. Emma read her victim impact statement in court. She talked about losing her connection to her mother's memory and feeling unsafe in her own home. There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom, including some of the jurors. Rachel cried during sentencing and tried to apologize, but that the damage was done. She destroyed Emma's trust and safety for what she claimed were good intentions, but what the court recognized as cruelty. Emma's hair is shoulder length now, and she's grown into her new style. She says she's not growing it back to her waist anymore because she wants to try different looks. She's becoming more confident and assertive every day. We finished family therapy last month. Dr. Martinez said Emma processed the trauma remarkably well and learned healthy ways to deal with violation of trust. She's stronger because of this experience, even though she shouldn't have had to be. The divorce was finalized yesterday. Rachel gets nothing. No alimony, no property, no contact with Emma. She made her choices, and now she lives with them. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are when they think you're not watching. Rachel showed me she was someone who would hurt my child out of spite and jealousy. I showed her that actions have consequences. Emma's safe now. That's all that matters. My wife got drunk at our first anniversary party and yelled, "I still love my ex. This marriage is a mistake. I only married you for the money." I replied, "Allow me to correct that." Then I pulled out the divorce papers I had ready and served her right there. The waiter had to call a cab for her sobbing. Update at the bottom for those asking what happened next. Not even sure where to begin with this absolute disaster. Throwaway account because half my family uses Reddit and I'm not ready for that conversation yet. Some context. I'm 34 male. Got married to my wife Stephanie last year after dating for 2 years. We had what I thought was a solid relationship built on trust and mutual respect. Turns out I was living in Fantasyland, but that's getting ahead of myself. Stephanie works in real estate and does pretty well for herself. I'm a project manager at a construction company, so we both make decent money. Combined household income around $140K, which is comfortable in our area. No kids yet, but we'd talked about starting a family soon. Our first anniversary was October 15th. We decided to throw a party at this nice restaurant downtown that has a private dining room. Nothing crazy, just close friends and family, maybe 30 people total. I thought it would be nice to celebrate our first year together with everyone who mattered to us. The problem started weeks before the party. Stephanie began acting strange around the time we sent out invitations. Mood swings, distant conversations, checking her phone constantly. When I asked what was wrong, she blamed work stress, said a big deal was falling through. I believed her at the time, because real estate can be unpredictable. Clients back out, financing falls through, inspections reveal problems. Made sense that she'd be stressed about losing a commission, especially with our anniversary expenses coming up. But the phone thing was weird. She used to leave her phone around. Now she took it everywhere, including the bathroom. Started getting texts at odd hours and would quickly delete them before I could see. When I mentioned it, she got defensive, said I was being paranoid. Looking back, all the signs were there. Late nights at the office that didn't match her usual schedule, new clothes and perfume she claimed were for client meetings. Coming home with stories about difficult buyers that didn't quite add up when she told them again. A month before the party, I found out what was really happening. Stephanie had left her laptop open while she was in the shower, and a Facebook message popped up from her ex-boyfriend Derek, who she dated for 3 years before we met. The message was pretty explicit about missing their physical relationship and wanting to meet up again. I scrolled up and saw months of conversations between them. Everything from complaining about our marriage to planning secret meetups when I was out of town for work. My stomach dropped reading through their chat history. She'd told him our marriage was a mistake, made in desperation after her father had financial problems. That she only married me because I had stable income and good credit to help her family through a rough patch. Derek lived 2 states away now, which explains some of the late nights. She'd been driving to meet him in hotels halfway between our cities. During my investigation, I also discovered Derek was married with kids, which made the whole situation even more disgusting. The work stress was actually relationship stress because she was torn between staying married for financial security and running away with her ex. I printed out screenshots of everything before she got out of the shower. Didn't confront her immediately because I needed time to process what I'd discovered. My entire marriage was apparently built on lies and financial convenience rather than love. That night, I moved money from our joint accounts into personal accounts she couldn't access, changed passwords on shared credit cards, and started documenting our assets. If this marriage was really just a business transaction for her, then I was going to protect my side of the deal. I also called my lawyer the next day, explained the situation, and asked about my options. He said adultery wasn't necessarily grounds for immediate divorce in our state, but the evidence would help with asset division. Recommended I gather more documentation before filing anything. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal while collecting evidence. Stephanie continued her late nights and secretive behavior while I played the oblivious husband. Even helped her pick out a dress for our anniversary party, knowing she was probably texting Derek the whole time. During those 3 weeks, I discovered their plans. Derek was going to come to our anniversary party as a surprise. Stephanie had invited him without telling me, claiming he was just an old friend who happened to be in town. They'd planned for him to object during my toast like some romantic comedy scene. The audacity was incredible. She was going to humiliate me at our own anniversary celebration in front of our friends and family, make me look like a fool while she ran off with her true love, all while keeping the financial benefits of being married to me until she could transition to her new life. I had 2 choices: cancel the party and confront her privately, or let her plan play out and turn it against her. The petty part of me wanted to see the look on her face when her romantic fantasy crashed into legal reality. So I prepared my own surprise. Had my lawyer draft divorce papers citing irreconcilable differences and adultery. Gathered all the evidence of her affair and financial motivations. Made copies of everything, including bank statements showing how she'd been spending our money on her secret trips. The week before the party, I hired a private investigator to document Derek's arrival and any public displays between them. Wanted ironclad proof of their relationship for the divorce proceedings. Also, hired a process server to be ready with divorce papers at a moment's notice. Anniversary day arrived and I was surprisingly calm. Months of planning had led to this moment, and I was ready for whatever happened. Stephanie was nervous, but I assumed it was because of her planned betrayal. She had no idea what was really coming. We got to the restaurant early to set up decorations and make sure everything was perfect. Stephanie kept checking her phone and asking what time people would start arriving. I knew she was really asking when Derek would show up, but played along with her nervousness. Guests started arriving around 6. Both sets of parents, my siblings, her siblings, and our closest friends. Everyone was happy and excited to celebrate our first year together. The irony wasn't lost on me that we were celebrating the end rather than the beginning. Dinner was scheduled for 7, followed by toasts and cake around 8:30. I'd planned my own toast for 9, which would give Derek time to arrive and Stephanie time to get comfortable. The timing had to be perfect for maximum impact. Derek showed up at 8:15, just as planned. Tall, dark hair, athletic build, everything Stephanie had described in her messages. He hung back near the entrance, scanning the room until Stephanie noticed him. The look of excitement on her face confirmed everything I needed to know. She excused herself to go to the bathroom, but I watched her intercept Derek near the bar. They hugged longer than appropriate for old friends, and I saw her slip something into his hand. Probably room tea for after the party when they planned to celebrate her freedom. When Stephanie returned, she was glowing with anticipation. Kept glancing toward Derek, who was now mingling with other guests and pretending not to know her well. The performance was almost convincing, except I knew exactly what was happening. By 9 o'clock, everyone had finished eating and the mood was perfect for toasts. I stood up and tapped my wine glass to get attention. The room quieted down as 30 people turned to look at me expectantly. I started with the usual anniversary speech about finding your soulmate and building a life together. Thanked everyone for coming and supporting our marriage. Stephanie beamed at me from across the table, probably thinking I was setting up her grand romantic exit perfectly. Then I shifted gears. Talked about the importance of honesty in marriage and how secrets can destroy even the strongest relationships. How some people enter marriage for the wrong reasons, like financial security, rather than love. The room stayed quiet, but I noticed a few confused looks. That's when Stephanie started getting nervous. She could tell something was different about my tone, but couldn't figure out where I was going. Derek looked equally confused from his spot near the back of the room. I pulled out the printed Facebook messages and started reading selected quotes. Stephanie's exact words about marrying me for money and stability. Her complaints about our relationship and promises to Derek about leaving me. The room went dead silent as the implications became clear. Stephanie turned white and started shaking her head, trying to signal me to stop. But I kept reading, including her plans to have Derek show up at our anniversary party. Every eye in the room turned toward the back, where Derek was now trying to disappear. When I finished reading, I looked directly at my wife. "You said this marriage was a mistake made for money. Allow me to correct that mistake right now." That's when I signaled to the process server I'd hired, who was waiting near the restaurant entrance. He approached our table and formally served Stephanie with divorce papers for adultery. "Stephanie Wilson, you're being served with divorce papers," he said, as our entire family watched in shock. The explosion was immediate and spectacular. Stephanie started screaming that I was insane and couldn't prove anything. That Derek was just an old friend, and I was humiliating her over nothing. But everyone had heard the Facebook messages and could see Derek trying to sneak out the back door. Her mother started crying, asking what was happening. My mother looked furious that someone had played her son for a fool. The other guests sat in stunned silence, watching our marriage implode in real time. Derek made it halfway across the room before I called him out directly. "Derek Wilson from Sacramento, right? The one she's been meeting in hotels for the past 6 months? The one she told she only married me for financial security?" That stopped him cold. He turned around with this deer-in-headlights expression, confirming his identity to everyone in the room. Stephanie was sobbing now, begging me not to do this in front of everyone. But I was done being manipulated and humiliated. She'd planned to embarrass me at our own anniversary party so she could deal with the consequences of her actions. Fair is fair. The restaurant manager came over asking if everything was okay. I apologized for the disruption and explained there was a family emergency. Most of our guests understood and started gathering their things to leave. The party was obviously over. Stephanie was completely falling apart by this point. Drunk on wine and emotion, sobbing about how sorry she was and how we could work things out, begged me not to throw away our marriage over a mistake. But cheating for 6 months isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Derek finally grew a spine and came over to help her. Started saying something about how they never meant for things to go this far. I told him he was welcome to her now that everyone knew the truth. That he could have the woman who married someone else for money while sleeping with him on the side. The waiter had to call a cab because neither of them was sober enough to drive. Stephanie kept crying and apologizing while Derek awkwardly held her up. They made quite a pair standing on the sidewalk waiting for their ride to shame. I stayed behind to settle the bill and apologized to the staff, tipped extra for the drama and cleanup. The manager was understanding, said he'd seen everything from cheating spouses to custody battles over the years. Just another night in the restaurant business. My parents offered to come home with me, but I needed space to process everything. The house felt different, knowing Stephanie wouldn't be coming back. Emptier, but also cleaner somehow. Like a weight had been lifted. She tried calling and texting for days afterward. Long messages about how she'd made a terrible mistake and how Derek meant nothing compared to our marriage. How she'd been confused and scared about our future together. Standard cheater playbook stuff. I forwarded everything to my lawyer and blocked her number. Also changed the locks and alarm codes in case she tried coming back for her things. Her clothes and personal items went into storage until the divorce was finalized. She could collect them later with supervision. The divorce took about 8 months to finalize, but went smoothly since we had clear evidence of adultery. No kids or complex assets to divide, just splitting accounts and determining who kept what. The Facebook messages showed her motivations clearly, which helped with the settlement. Derek apparently dumped her 2 weeks after the party. Guess having an affair is more exciting than dealing with someone's messy divorce. Stephanie moved back in with her parents and started posting sad quotes on social media about betrayal and heartbreak. The irony was incredible. 8 months later, and I'm doing great. Bought a condo downtown closer to work. Started dating again and found someone who actually likes me for me rather than my credit score. Life is much simpler when you're not constantly being lied to and manipulated. Stephanie still reaches out occasionally through mutual friends, asking if we could talk or meet for closure, but there's nothing left to discuss. She showed me exactly who she was at our anniversary party, and I responded accordingly. Some bridges burn completely, and that's perfectly fine. The best part is knowing she lost everything for a guy who dumped her the moment things got real. Financial security, marriage, stable home, all gone for a fantasy relationship that lasted 2 weeks. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Update since people keep asking. Stephanie's real estate career took a hit after word spread through the local business community about her behavior. Apparently, she'd been meeting Derek during work hours, and clients started questioning her professionalism. Derek's wife found out about the affair and left him too. Both marriages ended, and Derek moved across the country to escape the mess he'd created. Stephanie works at a retail store now, living with her parents at 30 years old. Posts constantly on social media about learning to love herself and growing from past mistakes. But still asks mutual friends about my dating life, so she clearly hasn't moved on completely. I'm engaged to someone amazing who actually appreciates honesty and commitment. We're having a small wedding next spring, nothing fancy. Planning to elope might be safer given my track record with anniversary parties. Some people think I was harsh serving papers at our anniversary party. But she planned to humiliate me that same night in front of the same people. The only difference is my plan actually worked, and hers backfired spectacularly. Marriage should be about love and partnership, not financial convenience. When someone shows you their true priorities, believe them the first time. Don't wait around hoping they'll magically become better people. Best decision I ever made was preparing those divorce papers in advance. Sometimes you have to be ready to call someone's bluff when they think you're too weak to walk away. Trust your instincts and protect yourself from people who see you as a bank account with legs.